him trying to follow through on campaign promises to make it harder for black voters to move forward and to be successful in society.
It is incredibly disappointing. And it is not, however, something that we weren't expecting.
Sure. I don't care what nobody says. This motherfucker just took away the Equal Employment Act. I can't, you cannot make this shit up.
This is The Right Angle. Let's jump into it. So the political landscape in this country has been radically changing. And when I say radical, I mean the breakneck speed of which President Trump's influence is taking over the nation. That's from getting access to LA residents after talking to Karen Bass and making sure she does it, or if that's ensuring illegals are sent back to the countries they came from, like we just saw with Colombia. His presidency has brought a level of disruption that has left Democrats scrambling, really. All they seem to have is, in response, are their usual tricks like cry racism, stage stunts, and beg for donations from their tired causes. But let's be real. The playbook they have there is worn out, and a lot of people are starting to see through it. More and more, I think, importantly, more and more Black Americans are starting to see through it. They're starting to see what it is as this fake, contrived nonsense, just like we saw in this video from Al Sharpton.
Corporations came forward and said, we're going to do diversity. We're going to do this because race needs to be dealt with. And for Donald Trump to be able to cancel a commitment they made is an outright affront to the Black community, brown community, LGBTQ, gay community, and women that they committed to. So that is why we will stand with those that stand with us. Costco immediately stepped out and said that they will not back off DEI. On last Monday, Martin Luther King holiday, I announced that for 90 days we're going to research the company that we find that has made the most affront. We will call a boycott. But today we are calling a buy-in. I have bought 100 people $25 gift certificates. We're going shopping in Costco because they've stood with us. People that stand with us, we will stand with them. People that do not stand with us, let Donald Trump stop us in 90 days from boycotting them. We will not pay to be rejected and disrespected. Thank you.
Yeah, so you have that. So what he does is gives everyone $25, brings up most likely paid protesters. That's my own opinion. I'm not sure, but it's been done by organizations like this in the past. He complains about just different things. So the story here is that you're having all these major companies like Target, Walmart, Ford, all these companies that are going away from DEI practices, which, by the way, means hiring based upon race and immutable differences as opposed to skill. That's what this whole thing is about. Do we hire based upon merit, or do we hire just because you looks like somebody that we want to give a quota for? So DEI is essentially tokenism, right? And, watching Sharpton in these videos spouting off about how DEI really got, really is being taken away, it kind of got under my skin because of some things I'll let you know later in the video. But he labels people in groups. You see him rambling through this community, that community, this community, always separating these folks. And it's the same grip he always has, right? And I'll do a DI video next month about just kind of like his origins, where it comes from, and what it really is, and what's really intended to do in our country. But the reason it needs to go away is essentially because DEI in present day terms just really means less white people. And the way DEI is framed today makes it seem like people like me need a handout as well, as if I'm incapable of succeeding on my own, or as if I am unable to make and formulate my own thoughts and actions. Let's hear more about the DEI crater that's happening in Chicago.
News of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs going away in recent weeks. Big companies like McDonald's, Walmart, Ford, and Lowe's scrapping some of their DEI effort. And today, President Trump issued an executive order to end federal DEI programs.
It is incredibly disappointing. And it is not, however, something that we weren't expecting.
Sharmili Majmudar is the executive vice president for Women Employed, which advocates for economic justice for women in the workplace. She says the order rolls back 60 years of progress.
The majority of Americans believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace is a positive thing and see it as a bedrock value.
The fact is that we've come too far to go back.
Dory McWhorter is the president and CEO of the YMCA of Metropolitan Chicago. She says diversity is good for businesses. And internally, their organization has an employee resource group that helps them serve their communities better by welcoming diverse input.
It serves us better to actually understand those experiences more, because so many people are having such different experiences that it really does benefit all of us if we take the time to understand what those experiences are.
Those in DEI tell us they are keeping an eye on the changes and this changing climate, and they continue to do what's best for their clients and their bottom lines.
So there you have it. So these folks want to make it seem like discrimination is being taken out of job preferences altogether. Like, if you're in an interracial marriage, you can't get a job in the private sector anymore. Or if you are gay, you can't do this or that. No, that's not what any of this means. That's not what getting rid of DEI means either, because DEI is not saying that you're not able to get jobs based upon these characteristics. It's saying because of these characteristics, you're going to get a job. And we can all agree that we don't want our kids and people that we know not getting jobs or getting jobs just because they look a certain way, which is crazy to me. There is no worse feeling than trying your hardest at your job or your work or whatever you do, but feeling dread that people will think you only got that because of a handout. You only got there because they picked you because you were Black. You only got that because you're a token. You didn't get there because of your merit. You didn't get there because of your skill. You got there because you needed a helping hand. You couldn't do it on your own. It's just not something that I can feel comfortable with. It's not only insulting, but it limits you. And in the back of your head, I don't care who you are or how high you have gone, in the back of your head, you will always feel inferior, because you will always think, okay, did I get here because of me, or did I get here because someone think I couldn't make it, couldn't have made it, and I needed a handout? To people like Sharpton, we're not individuals. People like these two women you guys saw on these videos, we're just check boxes. We're tools to maintain their power and their influence so that they get a check. That's why all these DEI programs across the federal government have been removed. Some companies, like in the DoD, try to sort of just change up the wording, but they're not going to be able to do that anymore. They're not going to be able to divide and conquer, because we all know that's their game, and we all know who that benefits. It benefits the Al Sharptons of the world. It Sharptons that's been in the spotlight for since the 1980s. It benefits those people, but we're not going to deal with that anymore. We're not going to play that game anymore. This is a moment in time where we are going to experience a shift in the culture back to merit-based applications and or getting jobs based upon your merit. And all this stuff that is going on, from the DI programs that are being shut down in private companies, the DI programs that are being shut down at the federal level, to all the lies and this fear mongering from the Democrats about what isn't happening and trying to make it into something else. It brings me to what we've learned about Donald Trump. Love him or hate him, the guy delivers on his promises. He made promises about what he's going to do, and since day one, he's been doing them, and he's only been in office for like a week. So, and one of those promises obviously was this executive order on eliminating DEI programs. He also had an executive order where he removed government affirmative action in line with what the SCOTUS had passed just about a year ago.
He said he was going to do. I think if anybody is surprised, they shouldn't be.
On his first day back in office, President Trump signed an executive order dismantling diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the federal government. He also ended affirmative action in federal contracting, reversing policies dating back to Lyndon Johnson's administration.
This is him trying to follow through on campaign promises to make it harder for black voters to move forward and to be successful in society.
Public opinions are mixed.
You're not do away with it, no.
It's not right. It's going against the grain.
Former State Senator Adam Ollier sees the changes as a smokescreen to undermine workplace equity.
This is not about fairness or equity. This is about punishing people who don't vote for him.
The move is also projected to have a chilling effect on private sector DEI programs. Federal agencies are directed to identify compliance probes for corporations and universities engaged in diversity initiatives, and that's raising some concerns.
Well, we know that the metrics matter, right? We understand that metrics are important, and we know that companies cannot force people to be diverse, to have equity or inclusion.
Detroit pastor Lorenzo Sewell, who attended the National Prayer Service with the president, is very critical of DEI.
That there was a little maybe intellectual dishonesty if you're a proponent of legacy policy. So because your father worked here, we're going to hire you. We're going to give you an advantage because your father went to this Ivy League school.
Listen, I'm a business owner and I'm also a local church pastor. Anyone that I hire, I don't hire because of their skin color. I don't hire because of their sexual orientation. And I don't know any entrepreneur or any business owner or any government official that says I'm going to select someone because of the way they look or because of their gender. I believe that we live in a country where if you are the best at what you do and you're the most competent, the Bible says that your gift makes room for you.
Yeah, and I couldn't say it any better than that. I mean, I think this stuff, we get lost in all this minutia and forget about common sense. In the 60s, programs like affirmative action had their place. I mean, back then you had overt, real racism. It was systemic. It was barriers everywhere. You may say, well, that's the same today, but there's not much proof of it. Now you have to do things like, microaggressions or things of that sort, where you are basically taught to think more into a situation than anyone is really kind of expressing, and you're sort of putting your own feelings within the person that you're attacking as racist or whatever. And I think that is just not fair. I think overt racism should always be challenged, but you can't tell me what's in someone's mind based upon an action that they've done. And predictably, people are losing their minds over this. For many, their first instinct is to call Trump, really anything he does is racist or hateful. But here's the thing. If your default reaction to something new or different is hatred or fear, maybe it's time that you take a hard look in the mirror. You might be the one projecting the hatred. You might be the one that's causing the problems. Our first instinct should not be outrage. It should be seeking understanding. Do you know what is happening? Every story has two sides. The truth is, a lot of what Trump says and does make a lot of sense if you just listen. Sure, some people don't like the messenger, but that's on them. That's not on him. But the good thing is more folks are starting to see this, and they're responding in a very good way, just like you.
I don't care what nobody says. This motherfucker just took away the Equal Employment Act. I can't, you cannot make this shit up. I don't get.
Yes, you can, and yes, you did. He did not take away the equal employment laws. He did not take away any of your rights. None. This is all liberal logic. He didn't take away any of this. Only thing he took away is your fucking excuses. Now your excuses are out the door. What are you gonna do? You can either earn a job by merit, or earn a job by resume, earn a job by working hard. Why does that bother you? Y'all love to be put in positions which you didn't earn. And for me, that bothers me. I don't want any job that they put me in place of employment due to my skin color. I don't want it. That doesn't make sense to me. That's not how the world should work. I feel bad for all the white Americans that had to live through anything but the opposite. They work hard too. Argue.
So there you have it. Like I said, there's more and more things that are happening in our world that are starting to call out these things for what they are, right? Do we not want our people to stand shoulder and shoulder with others and feel proud in the right or in the knowledge that they belong, right? I care only about America. I only care about this nation. I am as America first as it gets. I don't care how that sounds. I don't care how it looks. I'm unabashedly American. When I look at the America as a whole, I want our people competing fairly against all the peoples of the world and winning in every single situation. I don't care how bad it looks for the other folks. I want our people to succeed. And when I look at the sort of micro community within, and me being a black man, I want to see the same promises throughout my people. I want my nephews and nieces to earn things based upon their own skill set. I don't want them to just be placed there just because they're black, just because because other people feel like they need a helping hand that they couldn't otherwise get there. What does that do for us in the long run? It does nothing but limit us. It does nothing but dilute us. And in the end, it's going to make you feel like crap. It's going to make you feel like you don't belong. You can be smiling in front of everyone and you'll be an empty vessel in a position that you did not earn because of someone else's supposed charity when it's really just something that's limiting you. And for me, when I voted for Trump in 2016, I didn't see him as a savior. I didn't even fully trust him at the time, to be honest. My goal was simple: send a message to the federal government. I wanted to unleash a bull in the china shop and see what happened. But as his presidency unfolded, and as the things that he's promised start to come more and more into fruition, even with all the fake Russia collusion drama swirling around him, I saw a man who followed through on his promises, right? I saw a man who was dedicated to us, and ending the DEI scourge is just one of those things. So, what's the question? The question to me is, are we ready for a government that truly represents the people? Are we ready for a government that truly does what we want? The reason why these things look so peculiar is because we're not used to politicians who get into office and literally do exactly what they said they're going to do. I've made mention of this a lot of times, and I said it earlier in the video. This is why people love Trump, and this is why our enemies fear Trump, because they know if he says something, he means it. He doesn't mean it in any other kind of like quasi queer kind of way where he's kind of like pussyfooting around. No, he means directly and right now. And ending DEI and returning to merit-based judgment was one of those promises. That's one of the things that people wanted, and one of the things that he said he will do for us. And that's about really recognizing individuals for their achievements, not their skin color, not their gender, not anything else. And for me, it couldn't have come at a better time. Well, anyway, that's been The Right Angle. I'll see you on the next one.